Good morning, family. It seems like a long time since I did this because I think we skipped the weekend because of retreat or something. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe my weeks are just running long and I'm kind of tired. But I thought it would be good. I remember hearing a preacher once. This was back during my non-Catholic days, and I was at a church in Pittsburgh. It was a pretty big charismatic Episcopal. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but anyway, it was a big church. There was like 3,000 people in the service, and the preacher came out. They had like two sermons. I remember they had a sermon just for collecting the offertory, which was crazy, and then they had the preaching of the service. And he came out and was a big it was a big African American man from Michigan. It was really dynamic, and the first statement out of his mouth was he goes, "I preach the same sermon over and over again until people get it, and then maybe I'll switch my message. But until people get my message, I'm going to preach the same thing over and over again." So I feel like this morning's a good morning to kind of share with you again, like who we are as a family, what we need to be about as a family, and why we need to be about all that. And it really boils down to, I guess a good word for it is community. Like I want people, I hope you do too, but me particularly, I want people to be able to walk into our church and feel welcomed, feel the spirit, feel like they're in a place where they're like safe and can worship and pray and be a part of a bigger family and just feel welcomed. Yes, it is a mass. Yes, the Eucharist is at the center of it and gives us our strength and our hope. Yes, all of that is important. But just as important, or in my opinion, more important, is that sense of the Eucharist kind of flows in all we do. From the moment a person walks into the door to the moment they leave, even the bathroom experience should be something where they feel like this is a place that is welcoming and open and embracing of everyone who walks through the door, no matter where they are in life. I remember being part of it, and again, I'm going back to my pre-Catholic days, and I was part of a church whose motto was, all are welcome. And the idea was that no matter where you are at in life, you are welcome in our church, you're welcome in our community, you are welcome in our space to worship with us and gather with us. And I want that to be something that reverberates throughout all we do in our service. Well, and I know the Mass, and it is central to who we are. Like, it is probably the most favorite thing I do is say Mass. Sometimes I may look a little exhausted when I'm saying it, but it is still the most favorite thing I do, and it should be at the core of who we are, what permeates all we do, right? It should be the source of why we are welcoming, why we are a community that people feel welcomed to come into, whether it's to come to Mass or come to our Oktoberfest dinner or our trunk or treat, whether it's any of those things, we should be a community that is open and welcoming to others. Why? Because of our mission statement. Our mission is to introduce people to Jesus and together fully follow him. We can't do that if we're not a welcoming community. We can't do that if we're not letting people into our lives, no matter where they're at. It's like the Pharisee and the tax collector who are praying, right? And the tax collector sits in the back and beats his chest and says, I'm not worthy to be here, but I'm still here praying for you to be in my life. Where the Pharisee's sitting up in the front going, look at me and look at all I do and blah, blah, blah. Like, we need to be like the tax collector, recognizing that we're all sinners and that we all need his grace and mercy and forgiveness. But we're not going to get it, to be honest, unless we're a community that shows it. Like, that shows it in how we welcome others, how we greet others, and how we interact with others. A great example of that, and I've said it a number of times during my homilies, is when you think about our church family, and you know how important that is to me, church family, and you think about being welcoming and being a community, think how far apart you sit from the next person in the pew. Like, why are there so much space between you and the next family down the way? And don't say COVID self-distancing, because that's poppycock. Like, we just want to be a family. And if you need to be spread out, like before Mass or after Mass or during the sign of peace, like, look over and welcome that family or that couple or that individual, as they've come into the Mass, if you don't know them or haven't seen them in a while. Like, just a nice hello, a greet, a smile, like letting them know that we are a family who is welcoming of everyone and desires everyone to be a part of our big family. Remember, these are in the back of the church. And Father mentioned them a couple homilies ago. He said, maybe grab a couple of these, put one at your, mirror in your bathroom or at your computer screen at your desk, or, on the fridge or somewhere so that you can see, and even grab two so you can put one like this to see what our mission is, and then put one like this to see what our purpose is, right? Because our mission is to, to introduce people to Jesus and together fully follow him. And as we start to do that, we do that through these things, right? All of these things have our mission incorporated to them, right? We gather as a community and we welcome others to that community. This, gathering at Mass is a great place to introduce people to Jesus because he's all over the place in the Mass, right? We connect with one another before and after Mass so that they can see Jesus in us and we can see Jesus in them, right? We serve in the church. This is a big one, people. I'm going to preach this one till I'm blue in the face. Like, we serve in the church as ushers and greeters and lectors and altar servers and extraordinary ministers. But like, even the people, like there's ladies that clean the pews and walk around, the property every day saying the rosary. Like, there's so many ways to serve in the church, helping in the school as an aide or a volunteer at lunch. Like, there's just so many ways to volunteer in the church and to help others. St. Luke's ministry, which is a really big one, and we're kind of needing help in that area, serving at the hospital and nursing homes and the homebounds, bringing them, visits and communion. And so many ways to serve in the church and be a part of the church. And then finally, to go out into the community and help in the community. Great example of that is Samaritan's Fellowship. I just met with one of those leaders yesterday, and he said they're really hurting for volunteers. And I said, we'll try to get the word out that Samaritan Fellowship needs volunteers to help. And they help the poor and homeless in the community, like find jobs, help pay their bills, things like that. So Samaritan Fellowship is a great way to go out into our community, find things that are already there and help others with those. So again, grab one of these cards, put it in your bathroom mirror, on your computer screen to help remind you, because again, back to the kind of main purpose of this talk is that it is so important that we as a community share the sense of community with others. Again, we want our house to be a house that's welcoming of everyone, no matter where they're at in life. There needs to be that sense of, wow, this really is, a great community. This church has, for lack of a better word, good customer service, right? If you worked in retail or in customer service, you know how important it is to have good customer service, to treat the customer kindly. And we need to do the same thing. It's not the customer, it's our community, it's our neighbors, our friends who need to walk through our doors and feel welcomed and feel like they're a part of our family from the very beginning to the very end of their visit. And to be honest, like when people ask me, I'm going to tell you some truth here. When people ask me what I miss the most about my Mennonite faith, I tell them it's the welcoming of the people. When I walked into when you walk into any Mennonite church, at least the ones I've been a part of, they're extraordinarily welcome. They say, hello, how are you? Thanks for coming. They bring you in and make you a part of their community, a part of their family. And I've always said that the Catholic Church has been lacking in that, and we're not very good at it. But I was talking with someone yesterday, and they told me we're getting better at it. made me a little warm inside for her to say that, because I shared with her how much I struggle with how welcoming we need to be as a church, and we need to work on that. And they said, Father, we are getting better at it. And I was like, it was so great to hear from that person. It like kind of gave me some fire to keep going. But we still have a long way to go and a lot to do to get there, to be a community that is open and welcoming to everyone, no matter where they are at in life. It is so important. We need to remember Jesus, right? And who he reached out to. I mean, from the apostles, who were not the creme de la creme of Catholic or Jewish society. They were fishermen and tax collectors and zealots. Not exactly like the high hierarchy of the Jewish society was he calling to be apostles. But then the people he reached out to, right? The Samaritan woman, the Syrophoenician woman, the Roman soldier, tax collectors, all kind of sinners. And so that's what our church needs to be, recognizing that we're all sinners and that we all need to experience that love, that embrace, that light that comes from Christ to all of us. And so I remember last Friday at the school mass, I was talking about identity, and I was asking the kids who I am. And one of the kids over in the far back yelled out, "A sinner." And I was like, yes, I am. And just like everyone else in this room, I'm just as much a sinner as the next person. And so this is a place, though, that welcomes us and should invite us in and make us feel at home and make us feel a part of that community. So we need to start doing that as a people. We not just, the people who are already volunteering or the staff of the church, but everyone needs to project that sense of welcoming for the community to feel welcomed. So like everyone needs to participate in a little way by saying hello to someone they don't know, or, talking with someone they haven't seen in a while, or, just kind of building an air of community and family and friendship in our church so that we can grow. I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to be here from 30 years from now. I want our church to be here from 30 years from now. But we're not going to be if we don't start opening up as a community and welcoming people in and being a good, welcoming community, family, whatever it takes. If you want to kind of dig deeper into our mission and purpose, we have a great, this is a booklet that we're going to come out with in a little bit, but the articles are in the lobby of the Marsh Drive Church. You can grab all of the articles and read them. And the articles are focused on, there's 2 articles on mission, and then a few articles on gather, and then connect, serve, and go out. I think each have 1 article. So you can kind of, it's just my heart again, kind of in words about what those things are all about and what they need to be about in our church. So I encourage you all, my prayer every day is that we become an overabundantly welcoming community that gathers in the lost souls of our area and gets them to heaven, because that's where we need to be going. So let's pray together that becomes our focus and our strength, and it becomes who we are as a family. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great week.